Welcome back to the Bearded Garage. In the last episode, we prepped the engine bay to put the motor back in. And on this episode, we're gonna prep the motor. So it's just about done. There's a couple of final pieces we're gonna be putting in. We got the starter here. So we've got this, I think it's a transmission vent tube, clutch vent tube, something like that. We got these two exhaust connectors, and then we're actually not gonna put the muffler on, but we're gonna put the brackets on so we don't have to reach up and get them later. And then we're gonna leave the muffler off, and we're gonna raise this puppy into place and see how she looks. So hopefully we'll get that done in this video. Here we go. First thing we're gonna do on the reassembly here, I went and picked up a brand new Bosch starter. Honestly, I kind of didn't want to, but it was cheaper. The rebuild was almost cheaper. The rebuild of my starter was about 280 bucks. It had been all the clutch dust jammed down inside of it, and when I went down to my local rebuilder, he actually told me he had new old stock of these models, and he could hook me up for 320 bucks. So 260 for an old one rebuilt or a brand new one here, and the contact points were actually short. So the guy hooked me up, so I'm happy. So all we're really doing is hooking these up. Here's hooked up to the starter. We are just going to tighten these bad boys down. It is looks like a 13, and what's the other one, 10 millimeter. Just need to be snug. Obviously you want the contact points to be nice, but just want it to be snug. One of the things we're gonna do next is, this is how we pulled it out of here. We actually had a nice zip tie on here. We're gonna do one of these. Zip tie this in place to keep the wire up out of our way. This is actually the biggest zip tie I have because I can't do it with another one. And just for good measure, no need for two, but I think it looks cooler, so here we go. Starter is back in place. Next thing I'm gonna put in is this guy. I guess I don't quite know what the hell you call it. I think I want to say a clutch vent. I don't know why else there would be a tube coming out of the side of the clutch. These are all 10 mil nuts here. 10 mil bolts, I should say. The next piece we need to install is a muffler bracket. So you can see there's actually a bolt right. Let me see if I can point to it right there. All right, so we're gonna slide this muffler bracket. It has a piece like that. And we slide it down in there, and then this one goes right up there. They only fit on each side. You can tell they're not universal, so they only fit one way. Last piece we got to put on is this vent pipe. I put this bracket on first, only because it's easier to get in here without this vent in the way. So I'm gonna jam this vent pipe up in here and screw it down with a couple of hose clamps. Now we're on to the other side. Just fast forward to this, as you don't need to watch the same thing again. Just take your time with these rubber hoses to get the clamps on where they can actually get some grip and hold them in place. All right, so this is what the motor looks like. She is propped up on the cart, ready to go back in. Sans muffler. These little stupid baggies, in case you're wondering, is because if you tip it a little bit while you're trying to prop it up, any gas remaining in the fuel lines might come out. So starter's on, everything's ready to go. I think she's ready to go in. All right, here we go. It's about time. All right, you're gonna see me jacking this up here for probably the next couple of minutes. I've fast forwarded a lot of it so you can see what's going on, but all I keep doing is just walking around, making sure nothing's touching. There are a lot of suspension components, hoses, wires, just things you want to pay attention to as you're jacking it up there. The black case around the motor, the thin metal one, you just want to make sure it doesn't pinch anything off when it gets up there. And the worst culprit I found in this whole gig was the SAI hose. It's about an 18-inch long hose coming off the SAI pump on the back. And that was one that I had to pull off to the side or pull forward so that it wouldn't get caught. Other than that, just take your time and jack her up. Well, it does actually fit. She's coming up. It looks pretty cool. Not sure if you can see anything anymore though. I'll show you real quick what I'm trying to line up. That is this with that bolt right there. And that's what, so this is the engine holding point. There's one on either side, and then where the transmission mounts up in the front, there's another bolt up there. And before I get everything up into the car, you can see that right there, I'm gonna have to put the slave cylinder in place, and up above, I'm gonna have to connect the throttle. We have to do it from down here. So actually, I think I'm gonna have to lower it just a little bit to do that, and then we'll start going up again. All right, so I've changed my tact a little bit here. I had to lower the motor a bit, but I also want to lower the chassis a little bit onto the motor. And I'm primarily doing that so I can actually reach the hoses inside without a ladder. So I'm gonna try raising it right back up, see what happens. At least the motor back up, I mean. All right, so I've gone up and down a few times here to make sure I can see where everything goes, make sure I'm not gonna pinch anything. What I did do is I pulled these two arms down, okay, because they're supposed to be out forward. I disconnected, I had that zip tied up above, I disconnected the throttle cable there, and then I went up and took a look. See, that is the clutch slave cylinder right there, so that will go there. So I've lowered it down. I think I got some room to work. In order to do this, here's what I got. Damn, I'm glad I put all these in baggies. So clutch slave cylinder is only 2 bolts, nice and easy. Throttle cable, looks like I gotta fiddle with that. It's one of those weird T pieces. The cable has a T on the end of it, and it goes in through this, and then it twists, and then this mounts to the side of the motor. And looks like that is Torx bits, T30s. That is a 13 mil. So I just got a box end for that. And then the engine mount is in the very back. So if this goes up nice and easy, then I think I'll screw those on. So I'm gonna slowly go up and slowly look at what we have to do. Making sure everything is out of the way. That is a oil line that's gonna connect there. I wanna make sure I had it out of the way. I might have to move this, wiggle it back and forth to make sure it'll fit, because it is kind of tight getting in there. All right, I'm gonna try it again. Here we go. All right, I'm gonna show you what I think. So we got the throttle cable here, which has to go up above and connect. So I'm gonna show you how I think this all goes together. And it's a little cramped in here. So there's 2 grommets. There's this one here, and then there's this grommet. So I've got this bracket. And I think this bracket, I don't know if you can see it, but see if I can get this thing to focus for me. You can see those 2 screws right there off in the distance. This bracket goes like that. And there's 2 Torx screws that go there. I think they're like T30s or something. This goes up through here. So after I bolt it in place, this goes up through here, right, and slides into here. This grommet actually goes through the back of the pan. You can see right there. All right, so I gotta slide it through the back of the pan, screw this back in place, and then this goes up and connects up above, which I don't know if you can see from here, but the throttle cable, pull this out of the way, the throttle cable's up there. So that's that gold piece right there. And that is the clutch slave. I just pulled it down so I can get around it. So right up there, and we're gonna connect that with the weird black Porsche piece that goes up through and then all snaps together like this. All right, here we go. Let's give this a shot. Last thing I forgot is after you connect the throttle cable, you got this throttle cable bracket. Don't forget to put that on. So clutch slave cylinder slid back into just 13 mil bolts. Goes in pretty easy, just slides in from where we hooked it up above. Last thing I did was has slowly jacked the motor up after we put the slave cylinder in. Slowly jacked it up. Once I got it to the height I needed, or almost needed, I put these bolts in finger tight. right? And I only put them in finger tight just because I wanted to hold this end of the transmission, or this end of the motor since it's all connected. I'm gonna go to the back here and show you what else we did. All right, so if you go back to the rear of the motor, there's these holes right here, and you can see up inside. We got the flashlight. You can see up inside is an 18 mil bolt. So there are 2 bolts, one on this side. Let's see if I can get that to focus. There we go. One on this side, one on the other side. So we just slowly screwed those up to lift the motor off the table. And then I kind of went back and forth. I did a little bit with this and a little bit with the transmission. And I'm starting to find that now I'm starting to have a gap underneath the table here. So next thing I'm gonna do with you guys here, I'm gonna try lowering this table. I'm pretty confident that the motor's officially in. Not all connected, but officially in. All right, she's going down slow. That's good. That means there's no weight on it. Look at that. Look at that. All right, so motor's in a car. Cart's out of the way. Now we can get up underneath here, see what we got. The last thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna torque the engine bolts down. 18 mil, and it's gonna be 63 foot-pounds. And the last one. There we go. And don't forget, after you torque them down, you've got to snap these little stupid caps right back in place. There we go. And we'll do the same for the other side. Before we call this mount complete, we're gonna have to put all these, torque all these bolts down. It's actually quite a low number. I think it's only 34 foot-pounds here, so we'll just torque them all down. There we go. I did one earlier, so this is what it looks like when she's in. That's it, baby. Obviously could have done a little more cleaning, but I think that's a lot of cosmoline and crapola there. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is hooking her all back up and hopefully turning the key. That was another fun video in the Bearded Garage. Thanks for tuning in, for putting this motor back in place. Hopefully the next video we can actually turn the key and see how she runs. So smash that like button, hit subscribe so you can stay updated with what's coming up next. And don't forget, America.